In the year 2020, I started a podcast about movies. Some episodes occasionally focused on other media as well. As I dealt with threatening interdimensional beings, I eventually met my other self from another universe where all the stuff I talked about got delayed. As it turns out, the stories as me and my guests described them were presented very differently in that other universe. So I continued podcasting these recaps, which apparently sound like improvised reviews, to entertain listeners of that other universe while they waited for the new release dates. Some episodes even focused on content of years past that did not come out in that other universe for whatever reason. The year is 2022. The podcast is now bi-weekly, unless stated otherwise. My name is Shinder, and you're listening to Delayed Replay. Hello, listeners. Welcome to another episode of Delayed Replay, that podcast where we talk about movies that got delayed in that other universe but came out on time in our universe. I'm your host, as always, Shinder, and joining me for this particular episode talking about Minecraft the movie, which just came out on March 4th where we are. He's never been on the show before, but I've known him for somewhat of a while now. Like, we talk about Sonic and all sorts of things with our friends. It is Callum. How are you? I don't know if you wanted me to say your last name as well, but
Yeah, that's fine. Callum's fine. Just got out of seeing Minecraft the movie, and it was an experience which we'll get into. But yeah, I'm doing good. Of course, Sonic 2 comes out in a few weeks, which is very hype. But yeah, I'm very excited to get into this movie because it's a big project by Warner Brothers, so it's interesting to see how they handled it.
I feel like Warner Brothers has been, they've been kind of addicted to these sort of meta movies, but we'll like get into that. So I guess first off, like, what have been your experiences with Minecraft the game, like the franchise, before seeing this movie?
I played a lot of Minecraft in my teenage years, during like 2014 to 2016, played Minecraft basically non-stop with my friends on over Xbox, just playing a lot of it, doing survival, making different mini games. And of course with Minecraft there's the massive side of it through YouTube. Like, there's so many Minecraft Let's Players, which I also watched a lot of. So like, Minecraft was a massive part of my teenage years, like playing a lot of it, watching a lot of it. And yeah, it was just one of those games that kind of took the world by storm almost. And even in like 2020 and 2021, 2022, it's got like a resurgence with people playing it again and stuff like that. It feels like one of those timeless games that never really goes away.
It's a game that feels like it's from, because of the graphics, right? It looks like it's from a long time ago, but it's still very playable. Kind of like how the aesthetic is for that one Jackbox game, Survive the Internet. I have like a little bit of a familiarity with Minecraft. Back in high school, I went to high school like 2009 to 2013. I had a few friends in art class who would like goof around playing Minecraft on the computer instead of doing actual work in the class. And so that's how I became kind of aware of it. And my cousin's friend, I think, also like played Minecraft, and one of my cousin's daughters was like, look at it, she's like, zombies. And so like, I've seen other people play Minecraft. I think a couple of college roommates even. So yeah, like, hearing the idea of a Minecraft movie, like, before seeing this, I was like, how are they gonna do it? And like, hearing that there'd be live action in it, it was like, oh, that sounds horrifying, but I also really want to see what that looks like.
Yeah, so like funnily enough, similar to you, I remember being in year 8, I was 12, so I feel like 7th grade for you guys. I think, if I remember correctly, your grades are one below our years. So yeah, like year 8, I was 12. I remember someone talking to me in English class about Minecraft, and I would go home, I got the game, and I played it, and it was just like from there, it just kind of took me by storm. But yeah, hearing about a Minecraft movie was interesting. But then when I think back to hearing about the Lego movie, and I was also kind of confused by that because I was like, well, Lego is a thing. How do you deal with it? But then that was just a film set in a Lego world. Obviously, it has different elements to it, but I was very much confused when I heard a Minecraft movie because Minecraft doesn't, it has a story, but the story is not really that important to it. And then you hear it's going to be live action. I'll admit I was skeptical at best going into this film.
With the Lego movie, I didn't really feel like it would be too much of an issue because I had seen some Star Wars Lego specials beforehand, and so I figured, okay, they'll do something like that, but feature length. And I thought it was cool how with the Lego movie, it wasn't just CGI. It looked like they used a lot of stop motion, so it looked more real. But yeah, Warner Brothers has had movies like that and Space Jam, Ready Player One, where there are all these like crossover elements, I guess you could say. And I think there's a bit of that in this Minecraft movie as well, which I guess is kind of a trend, and Warner Brothers is just going where the money is, I suppose.
Yeah, like it was really interesting. There was a particular scene in the film we'll get into that I found really kind of was one of those things which was like kind of the right part of meta, which I kind of enjoyed as like a little I enjoyed as a little touch on it. But I do want to ask you, what did you think of the choice to have Chris Pratt play the main character?
Yeah, that felt like what like okay, there's a controversy that he's voicing Mario in some upcoming movie, but yeah, it felt like Chris Pratt was just like they didn't even try. They just went with someone they thought would be an easy choice, you know, the everyman type of thing. And yeah, I mean, look, I like some of the things he's been in, but it feels like they didn't try hard enough to search for someone. It felt like they were just getting Lego movie actor all over again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's interesting because with Chris Pratt, I personally can only see him as Star-Lord from Guardians, but obviously he's been in so many other things. Like
Yeah,
he was in Onward and stuff with Tom Holland and stuff, but like it just
yeah,
feels like they're obviously going for the marketable star making performance, but like he wasn't terrible. Like I would have preferred a like someone I didn't associate with other things, but he was better than he was in Onwards. I'll give him that.
yeah. I quite liked Onward, so I guess I don't know. Maybe we have different perspectives, but
Yeah.
it did feel like there was a little shout out to Parks and Recreation, that TV show Chris Pratt was in a while ago, when he's like just walking around in this Minecraft setting and he falls into a pit where people are digging. Like that feels to me like a throwback to Parks and Rec season 1.
I didn't catch that because I haven't seen Parks and Rec, but that's very possible, and honestly, that's pretty cool. And I also like that they actually had Chris Pratt make the Minecraft sound effect of getting hurt when he did that, like the oh, like I think that's actually cool that they included that in there after he fell in that hole.
Parks and Rec, the first season is kind of a tough watch because it's very obviously trying to be the US version of The Office, but worse. But like after you get like past the first 12 episodes, I'd say like once they're out of the pit, like it's basically better quality and good sailing after that. But yeah, what'd you think of the blocky look of the characters in this live action movie?
See, this is what I was the most worried about, right? Because Minecraft has such a a key aesthetic to it, like the blocky nature. And I was kind of worried of how they were going to nail it in a live action movie. And while there were some things that didn't look the best, like didn't look like they were straight out of Minecraft, it looked okay for the most part. Like when they traveled to the Nether later in the film, I thought like that looked really cool and really captured the aesthetic of Minecraft. However, yeah, like when they were in the cityscape, I thought that was like a little, like it was a little hard to like make everything look perfectly blocky. But yeah, I think it was done better than I expected, I guess.
Yeah, like I do agree that the settings look pretty on point. It's just that some of the character designs are kind of horrifying to the point where they've kind of become memes, I guess you could say.
Well, yeah, the issue was they tried to recreate some of the famous skins from Minecraft, and to do that they had to be very basic with the looks, which was kind of hard to capture with real people or onto actual bodies. And then you had the part where you had like the YouTubers in their own Minecraft skins filming a
Yeah.
video, which was just like, I appreciate the meta of it, but also it's kind of weird to see like Captain Sparkles in a pirate outfit or or things like that. That was pushing the brink of too meta. But at the same time, I kind of appreciate they went that distance to have that like be a little Easter egg in the film.
Like with the YouTubers, it also reminded me of Free Guy, which even though it's not Warner Brothers, they did get Ryan Reynolds to do a cameo in this, and it's like, oh, he's definitely supposed to be Guy from Free Guy. That's kind of funny, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean Ryan Reynolds is good to be in this movie because he literally is the human embodiment of a block man. How jacked he is. So like, I mean, it was a good touch. How do you think this compares to other video game movies? Like in recent years, I think we've had a resurgence in video game movies being better than their usual hand they're dealt. Like Detective Pikachu was like pretty good, if nothing special. I personally really enjoyed the first Sonic film, so I feel like video game movies are getting better. So how do you think Minecraft sits in that?
So that's a good question because the common issue that we've run into with video game movies is that the adaptations tend to be terrible. One example is like the Super Mario Brothers movie from the early 90s, which even though it's a fun guilty pleasure watch, it's fun to watch with friends and laugh at some of the stuff. It definitely fails as an adaptation of the game. It's like, what the hell is this? What's going on? And we have had really good video game movies in the past few years, but sometimes they're movies about video games as opposed to movies based directly on specific video games. Like we've had the Jumanji movies, Free Guy, Ready Player One, and they've done well. I mean, I guess we've also had like Uncharted and Tomb Raider movies. Mixed feelings about some of those, but yeah, like this one, for me, it kind of sits. I don't know. Like I feel like it does capture some of that Minecraft aesthetic, and this is for coming from someone who has like just a surface level understanding of what Minecraft is. And so I feel like they did like a lot of work with like how it looks and whatnot, but the story at some points felt kind of generic, although there were like some interesting bits here and there. So I guess for me, it kind of sits in the middle where I'm not sure if it's like completely bad or if it's somewhat good. Like I guess that's something I'm hashing out and we'll figure out by the end of this, hopefully.
Yeah, I agree that it kind of sits in it. Because, like, for me, when you look at bad video game movies, I look at Doom from like 2005 of just a really pointless video game adaptation. But like this has some merit to it, as you said. The aesthetic's really good. The story I kind of struggle with because when you look at Minecraft, there is a story. The developer famously only added a story to Minecraft, so there was a definitive end point. But the core of Minecraft is about creativity and about how there isn't a story. And they do touch on that. They do touch on that theme of creativity in some ways in this plot, but also I think they went a very kind of safe way with the rest of it in which kind of takes it down a bit for me. So I would agree it's kind of in that middle tier, and maybe we'll get a better idea of it as we talk through the plot.
Yeah, Chris Pratt's character, whose name escapes me at the moment. It's probably some generic name, and I'm
I
just
mean,
forgetting it.
I
But
mean, they named him after the main Minecraft guy, right? He's just called Steve.
yeah, well, really ironic that I forgot that. But yeah,
I know, right?
maybe I just didn't want to be associated with that. I don't want Chris Pratt playing me. Maybe I don't know, but yeah, like he's kind of this generic character who like he doesn't want to mine, he wants to be a doctor, and he kind of goes on this quest that, like he said, feels very safe. Like I feel like it's kind of by the numbers, and yeah, I don't know, like what more could they have done with this to improve it.
See, I really enjoy that element of it because there's so many different roles in Minecraft, like the game itself. There's being a builder, there's being a digger, there's being a miner, there's fighting things, and so I enjoyed that core concept of like most of the people in the town or city. Steve, not Chris. Steve lives in goes on to be miners, but Chris Pratt's character Steve wanted to be a doctor, and at the same time a new disease called like blazeitis has kind of spawned in the town, and he's like, I'm gonna cure this, and obviously to do that he needs blaze rods, which kind of is the whole launch for our adventure. And but like I kind of wish they explored that whole idea of creativity and what Chris wants to be, rather than just using that as the basis for the adventure. Because from that, this kind of becomes a standard adventure movie of him having to find a way to go to the Nether to get the blaze rods to cure blazeitis. Like we meet some fun characters along the way, but I feel the core idea was really good. It's just where they went from it was kind of weak in execution, in my opinion.
Yeah, this disease, I'm not sure if I understood 100% like what it does, but one of the characters at least gets turned into Count Orlok from Nosferatu, which I guess is fitting because this came out on that movie's 100th anniversary. But yeah, it's kind of weird. You have like a bit of that horror element in this silly movie. There are even like zombies here and there. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's really weird because like yeah, they don't really flesh out exactly what blazeitis, I think was the name of it, does. It just like all we kind of see is the fact that like slowly they start like there's just like this whole wing in like the Minecraft hospital, and Steve's like, I'm gonna do this, so he sets out on his adventure. The first thing he does is I did like this part where like he punches a tree for wood, he then makes a crafting table and makes a boat, and as he's making the boat, oh no, it's a shark.
Yeah.
Which I kind of liked the way they actually showed the crafting table and the crafting process, because that was a cool touch. But yeah, this whole shark scene was kind of just was you're basically like your paint by numbers kids adventure film kind of scene of a shark where it's basically just like just escaping them, and then this new character ends up kind of saving Steve. What did you think of the new character we met here?
Yeah, this new character was actually played by Steve Carell, who was originally in talks to be in like an earlier version of this movie. So I thought it was funny that they got him involved in this still. But it's also really confusing because you have Steve Carell, but he's not playing Steve. Chris Pratt is playing Steve, which, it also reminds me of how in Parks and Rec I found it confusing that there's a character named Chris, but he's played by Rob Lowe instead of Chris Pratt, who's playing Andy. It's like I wish that the names were reversed. So I guess this is what kind of confused me, like just the names of the characters and the names of the actors.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and then also like was like I also enjoyed the like Steve Carell. His character wasn't obviously most known from the Despicable Me series, and I'm just very happy we got Steve Carell and not one of the minions in this film. But yeah, Steve Carell. uses a bow and arrow to kill the shark and save Chris Pratt. And then this is kind of when we get our forgot the word for it now, but our backstory, our exposition. There we go, where Steve Carell's character, who's weirdly enough called Chris, so like it's
Yeah.
it's even more it's even more confusing because you got but so Steve Carell tells us kind of the how dangerous the Never can be, and like this is kind of when we get a backstory about how hard it is to go to the Nether and get blaze rods and stuff like that. Well, did you think this exposition set up the kind of danger of the Nether for people who maybe are less familiar with Minecraft as a game?
Yeah, I do think it gave people an idea of what to expect. I just don't think it needed to last 15 minutes. Like you have this long scene of exposition that you sort of forget what time period you're in, and then the flashback ends and they're like, oh, that's right, we're doing this now, type of thing.
Yeah, like we didn't need a mini short film where they had because this is where Ryan Reynolds turns up. You didn't need to see like Ryan Reynolds playing this like jacked adventurer guy who's like, I am the hero of the world, and how he free guy, even he couldn't beat the Blaze, and he fails to beat the Blaze. Like you really gotta like this was like this was a really big promotion for Free Guy too. I feel like this was just a massive promotion for Free Guy. I think like this whole scene of Ryan Reynolds like fighting through the Blaze Rods to eventually dying to them and succumbing to Blaze-itis. Like I know, like it's just a really weird deal from Warner Brothers to allow this 15-minute set piece in their own movie.
Yeah, it was also weird when Sonic, but with a Minecraft skin, showed up, and like he looked at himself and was like, well, it still looks better than the first trailer of my movie.
Yeah, that is true. They're just firing shots at everyone right now. Like, and to be fair, it did. Blocky Sonic is better than creepy, weird Smile Sonic with the teeth. That was yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the minority in that I kind of wish the movie had come out with that original design, but I just love chaos, I guess.
Yeah, I would be like that if it wasn't Sonic, because Sonic's like the one thing is like with this film, I kind of wish it was worse in a way. Like I kind of wish it looked like the blocky nature was slightly more unhinged, but they did a pretty good job with it. Of course, after this 15-minute long scene of just Ryan Reynolds fighting Blaze with Sonic randomly there, and then like Shrek shows up
Yeah.
because when Ryan Reynolds is going into the Nether, he walks through the wrong portal and ends up in a swamp. And then you get, what are you doing in my swamp there? And then he runs out. Like, I can't believe they actually got Mike Myers to come and do a voice for that.
Yeah, they even licensed the song Accidentally in Love, which, I mean, it wasn't Shrek 2, but that was a weird choice for this particular scene.
Yeah, I've never thought of Free Guy from Free Guy and Shrek being like love partners, but you know, this is maybe when the film got a little bit too memey for my taste, and that's even for my taste. Like, but after that 3 minute long music scene inside this 15-minute exposition scene, we get a whole thing about Chris Pratt saying how he wants to be a doctor and stuff while Steve Carell, who is called Chris, makes him mushroom soup. And then they kind of go to sleep, and that's kind of the end of the first act almost.
Yeah, and then they wake up and realize that the mushrooms made them gigantic. And that's when a blocky Super Mario, voiced by Chris Pratt, shows up.
Oh no.
He's like,
I'm seeing
here we
double.
go.
All Chris Pratts. Oh yeah, and then for some reason they decide to get blocky Goombas for Chris Pratt, Steve Carell, and also Chris Pratt again to jump on as they traverse the meadows on their way to the Nether portal, because also Steve Carell has told Chris Pratt where this Nether portal is, because Obsidian is like so hard to find, so they've got to go through this one portal to get to the Nether.
It's kind of this long. I guess it's not technically a trek since they're not walking, but like it is somewhat of a long journey, and they keep asking like, "Are we there yet?" And they also do a play on words, being like, "We're never gonna get there," but of course they eventually get there. And some of the music during this sequence, it kind of felt like it was trying too hard to sort of stand out in what is generally a quiet scene. It just felt kind of out of place to me, this score that they used.
Yeah, like I felt it was really weird to play changes as we're seeing the scenery change. Like it's a great song, but like we can see the scenery change as they go from like a desert biome to an ice biome, but the song felt really over the top there.
Yeah, I kind of would have preferred something that felt like a journey, like sort of Lord of the Rings type for this sequence, but instead they decided to go with changes, and it was
Yeah.
just kind of odd.
Yeah, like I mean, I appreciate wanting to get an all-star soundtrack for this, which we'll get to later, but like this was a really weird choice. But then the weird touch of this kind of left me in a stunned silence when the Minecraft movie of all things decided to touch on globalization and the like the big business changing the world, when we got a Coca-Cola sponsored stadium had been built around the Nether portal. So now Chris Pratt, and Steve Carell have to break into this stadium to get to the Nether portal to get to the Nether. Like I did not expect this to turn into a heist movie.
Yeah, and heist movies generally, if the heist is the whole movie, I'm not into it, but if it's a movie where a heist is just a component of it, I sometimes end up enjoying it. This was really weird how they were like, they had to break into the stadium, and it's like, where's this movie even going at this point,
Yeah, and to do so, they disguised themselves as the team's mascot, which for some reason was SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah.
And like, to be fair, SpongeBob SquarePants is a square, so he fits into the blocky format.
Yeah, it's very
But
blocky.
like, Chris Pratt is now voicing a third animated character in this movie because he's playing Steve inside SpongeBob. So hearing Chris Pratt's voice come out of SpongeBob's mouth just felt weird to me. But
Like hearing Chris Pratt be like, I'm ready, I'm ready. Like it just felt unnatural.
yeah, exactly. They said that as they enter a minecart, they kind of crash through some glass to get to the Nether portal, and eventually we're ready for them to enter the Nether as we start our third act. And this middle act was probably the weakest of the film for me because it felt so pandering almost, with the scene of Super Mario and Coca-Cola Stadium and SpongeBob and changes.
Yeah, and like in the stadium crowd, there was like a lot of Easter eggs. Like you can see like Looney Tunes characters, and you see the Iron Giant and like some Ready Player One characters. Like basically, Warner Brothers is just like all in on this metaverse idea.
Yeah, it was a really weird choice to have Scooby Doo, Shaggy, Fred, and Daphne there, but not Velma. Like, why not include Velma? What have they got
Yeah,
against Velma?
what was up with that? That was weird.
Like, I mean, I don't know. That was weird. But yeah, this Warner Brothers metaverse thing is like, I mean, did you also see that before the film? Well, at least in my screening, they were advertising exclusive Minecraft the movie NFTs.
Oh no, I don't think I saw that.
I mean, like, yeah, like they were advertising like an NFT of Chris Pratt, like with his like Chris Pratt uh standing next to Steve Carell, like, "Oi, it's us." in the blocky world, and I was like this is like this metaverse thing is going too far.
Yeah, like because it's a blocky world, they feel like they have to mention blockchain just to be current, and it's like,
Yeah.
what even is this movie at this point?
Yeah, this really feels like a this yeah this I was just kind of intrigued at this point to see what other weirdness we can get inside this third act.
Even though Velma wasn't in this, they still got Linda Cardellini, who played Velma in the live action Scooby-Doo movie. Like, she had a kind of an important role here. And I thought it was kind of weird that they still couldn't get her to like play Velma as well, you know?
Yeah, that was really weird because as our three lead characters come out of the portal, or you see them get attacked by like a wave of traps and lava and stuff, and Mario actually like kind of dies here, and they try and make this a really emotional scene with like because he obviously he shrinks smaller like after the first hit, and then he dies after the second hit. And what did you kind of think of this kind of death scene for Mario?
I thought it was kind of funny how when he was dying, it had that same music that I hear in the original game when you die as Mario, you know, where it goes like do 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 do. And so it was just hard for me to take it seriously,
Yeah,
I
that
guess.
that definitely took the sting out of the tail. But then, as you said, it turns out Linda Cardellini's character is actually a hermit who kind of lives in the Netherworld after they they were married to Ryan Reynolds, his character. When they died in the expedition we saw earlier, it turns out they had kind of hermited themselves in the Nether because they didn't want to face the outside world again. But they after realizing what happened, they kind of take our two main characters in and kind of give them the rundown of what the Nether is like and try and basically help them get ready to go and find the blaze rods and like get what Chris Pratt's character needs to cure the blazeitis and become the most successful doctor of San Fran Bloxco, because that was the name of the city for some reason.
Yeah. And there's also a blocky Pikachu in this scene for some reason.
Yeah, like for some reason, just like Linda Carter's character has a pet Pikachu,
Yeah.
and like they they're just there, like just sitting on the table being a Pikachu, like damn, like the Nintendo crossover. I was not expecting so much of this film.
Yeah, and it's voiced by Ryan Reynolds again, but it's not speaking actual sentences. It's just Ryan Reynolds saying like Pika Pika all the time.
Yeah, that felt a weird touch, especially given that Linda Cardellini's husband in this film was played by Ryan Reynolds, and also their Pikachu played by Ryan Reynolds. That was a bit of a weird touch, but I guess cutting down on actors to save money. I don't know, like
Yeah, I mean, with the money they're spending on these songs and like these crossover things with other studios, like they had to cut down in some places.
that is fair, yeah. It turns out Linda Carter has a minecart track in the back of her house which leads right to the Nether Fortress. But like you get the classic, it's too dangerous to do this. And then Chris Pratt, as he usually does, goes, "Oh, I'll do it," and jumps in. And then we get this whole music scene where they have a go wacky minecart ride. What did you think of this like kind of set piece?
I think it literally went off the rails.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. But yeah, it just felt kind of typical, like that Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom kind of vibe. Like it just felt like it was a set piece there just to sort of speed up the action for a little bit, if that makes sense. Yeah, like it had all these twists and turns, and the cards like would like almost hit each other. And as like a little tribute to their fallen comrade Mario, they throw a banana peel at one of the other carts, and surely enough, it works, and like it goes off the rails.
Yeah, because weirdly enough, these blazes, which are flying fiery monsters which can just fly and throw fire, for some reason have chosen to ride the minecarts.
Yeah, that was really weird.
That was a weird choice, but I mean, you get the wacky scene of the blaze falling, and then as it does, Chris Pratt sees a blaze rod drop. He's like, "Oh, I need it!" But obviously, it falls into the lava, and he can't get it. So he's got to head deeper into the to the fortress. And then we get the big twist villain of the film.
Oh yeah, like I was really surprised by this, but I guess I shouldn't have been. So the villain is played by Andy Serkis, whom they got to do a lot of motion capture for this movie. Again, they had him do like a lot of these motion capture characters, I guess, to save money, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, like he also plays the villain here, which I mean, I love Andy Serkis. He's one of my favorite actors, but it was just I didn't expect to see him at all in this of all movies.
It was really weird, especially because he actually was just a block version of Gollum. Like,
Yeah,
but
with the
and
lava.
yeah, it turns out Gollum just controls the blaze rods with the One Ring from Lord of the Rings. Like he controls the blaze with that, and it turns out that ring has the power of Blazitis. So then we get a scene where Gollum just keeps punching Chris Pratt's character down to the floor while they play Chumbawamba I Get Knocked Down, and Chris Pratt just keeps getting back up and getting punched back down. Now, I love that song so much, but it felt really weird to see Gollum just keep throwing punches. And
Yeah, like he's tougher than you would expect here.
yeah, it was a really weird scene, but it does add to the iconic soundtrack of this film, especially when you saw Chumbawamba in the background playing the song as it happened. They were like on a floating platform. Like it gave this scene a really weird mise en scène.
Yeah, it kind of felt like a music video within a film.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to be fair, because Minecraft music videos were a big thing on YouTube back in the day.
Oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me. So the fight sequence goes on, and then Chris Pratt, out of the corner of his eye, sees a piece of bread, and he picks it up, and he like hits Gollum in the face with it. And to his surprise, it like Gollum is like, "It burns us," and it turns out that this is like that elven bread from Lord of the Rings, which Gollum really despises.
Yeah, see, I didn't get that first one. I just thought Gollum had a wheat intolerance originally, but now you say that, that makes a lot more sense. And yeah, and basically Gollum falls in the fire, and the ring burns, and all of a sudden, all of the blazes just turn into different Ryan Reynoldses. You had Deadpool, you had Free Guy, you had
Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, you had Detective Pikachu. Like,
Yeah, and his character from Blade Trinity, who's forgettable because that movie was bad.
yeah, it turns out all the Blazitis was just Ryan Reynolds getting turned into different monsters.
I wasn't sure what to think of this scene. By this point, I was like, okay, whatever. I guess that's what was happening.
I just felt like this was a really big way to announce that Ryan Reynolds was the new head of Minecraft. Like like this was like I like Ryan Reynolds, but sometimes a film could have too much of one actor, and I felt this ending was too much of Ryan Reynolds, especially when we got that big music scene at the end akin to Shrek, where it's just all the Ryan Reynoldses, Andy Serkis, Chris Pratt, and Steve Carell dancing while they all sing a song. I realized Shrek made that iconic, and it's but like with just all Ryan Reynolds it was a bit jarring to watch.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because like you have the Free Guy shout outs, which is kind of funny because the director of Free Guy, Sean Levy or Levi or however you pronounce it, was originally supposed to direct this Minecraft movie. So it's almost like I don't know if it was like a collaboration or if it was like a hey, you didn't get to direct this type of thing and just rubbing his face in it. Yeah, like he also did the Night at the Museum movies, but yeah, like there were some Night at the Museum references as well. Like there were some blocky versions of some of those museum characters throughout the
Yeah,
movie.
they just have the Easter Island head in the background, just chewing gum. And I mean, I love Night Museum as a kid, and that was amazing. And then, and then, like for the big solo part of the song, Ben Stiller just comes out
Yeah.
and starts singing, and I'm like, is
Yeah,
this?
and the Eastern Island head is like saying you are dumb dumb, and Ben Stiller is like, no, I'm not, and they argue back and forth.
Yeah, and it's like, is this like I know Minecraft came out in 2009, right? So it's technically a thing of the 2000s. But why did this film just try it? Like, apart from Chris Pratt, this film is all about the 2000s. Like, like this film is like a 2000s nostalgia trip. So much so that like you wouldn't guess what song they play at the end of this. Yeah, that's right. It's Who Let the Dogs Out for some reason.
Yeah. And you see like some blocky dogs
Yeah,
dancing to it.
yeah.
Scrappy
So
Doo is there even.
Marmaduke, for some reason, voiced
Yeah.
by Owen Wilson.
Yeah, and he looks at Ben Stiller and is like, "You look familiar," because like they've worked together on a lot of things.
They do the Spider. All the Ryan Reynolds just do the Spider-Man meme.
Yeah, they just all point at each other.
This
Yeah,
movie was stupid, but I kind of enjoyed it.
yeah, I mean, this movie was directed by Peter Sollett, and the only thing I've seen by him was Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, which was a nice movie. But like watching that movie, I would not have guessed that he made this mess of a silly movie. It's just really odd. And yeah, Allison Schroeder also co-wrote this. I'm trying to see if there's like anything she's done that I might have seen.
I checked, and there wasn't something I personally had seen from her.
Oh, apparently she did additional screenplay material on Frozen 2.
Ah, yes, the peak of filmmaking.
The Pikachu filmmaking.
Oh, damn it. Like, this film to me is one of those films which, like, is it a good film? No. But it's one of those films that I just enjoy watching because of how bad it is. Like, I feel like someone must have told them how stupid of a concept the Minecraft movie is. So they decided, it, we're just going to go balls to the wall. And it kind of worked in a weird way. Like, this won't win any Oscars. This probably will win a few Razzies. But even so, it's one of those things that's kind of so bad. It's kind of good almost.
Yeah, I mean they even throw Lego Batman in the dance sequence at the end. Like it's Lego Batman but in the Minecraft aesthetic. It's just weird. Like it goes into end credits, they keep on dancing, and then in the post credits scene, Steve, Chris Pratt's character, is like, now I can finally be a doctor, and then you see a blocky TARDIS flying and the Doctor Who theme song, and it lands, and he like goes inside.
With the news that Chris Pratt is going to be the Doctor, you're a big Doctor Who fan, Stephen. What do you actually think of that? How do you think that'll be for the Doctor Who franchise?
Yeah, I don't think he's actually gonna be the 14th Doctor. Like, I feel like that would be, it would be such a step down. I think, like, Chris Pratt can do all these other characters and whatnot, but it just wouldn't feel like a step forward for the Doctor Who franchise in my eyes. Like, it just would feel weird.
Yeah, that's very fair. I
So I hope it's just a joke, but I
I
guess we'll
mean,
see.
yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what they do. We'll see if BBC's also got a hand in this film because everyone else does. But what were your final thoughts on this epic masterpiece of filmmaking.
Masterpiece with air quotes. I guess it's just one of those movies where you're kind of just curious to see how bad it can get. Like, to be fair, it doesn't get quite emoji movie levels of bad, but it doesn't get as good as like Wreck-It Ralph. Like, even though there were cameos from like those movies as well, but it's like it felt like this movie was trying too hard, but also not trying hard enough, if that makes sense. Like, it's very paradoxical. It's kind of a push and shove type of thing, and the resulting thing is just blah.
For me, I think it's the fact that there's one reason why this isn't as bad as the Emoji Movie, and that's we got no James Corden. Like, I really thought he was going to show up. I was really worried he was going to show up, but we got no James Corden, and that was fine. Like, this film isn't good, but it's fun in a way where it's so bonkers that you're kind of like, what am I watching? What drugs have I taken to be on this trip of a film?
Well,
so like
mushrooms.
exactly, like, and they'll make me big apparently. So like, if I was grading this for quality, it would be like a 3 or a 4. But for enjoyment, I gotta give it a 6.5. Ryan Reynolds out of 10.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, and I think I'm in a similar boat. Like, I'm glad it was made just so we could see how strange it would look, but like some of it just felt very generic, or like it was trying too hard. And it's funny that you mentioned James Corden, because earlier I was wondering to myself, is Chris Pratt the James Corden of America? But I mean, I don't know. But yeah, like overall, I guess it's a guilty pleasure watch. One of those movies I'll watch with friends, maybe have some shots along the way and some pizza. So I guess I'll give this 6 out of 10 blocky seagulls that repeat the word mine over and over.
Mine?
Like, yeah, like in that one scene in the movie. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like, yeah, obviously, they we didn't touch on that, but they tried to do the Jaws thing, dun 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 dun, with the shark, but instead it was the seagulls going mine, 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 mine,
Yeah.
and it didn't have the same effect as is it was that Jeff Williams who did
John Williams, yeah.
John Williams, yeah, John Williams who did Jaws. It didn't have the same effect, but even so, it was a funny reference.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we've done it. This was a movie. People have really fiery opinions on this one online in our universe anyway. I'd be curious to see if this ever comes out in that other universe, because I'm not clear on whether it'll still happen or if it's dead in the water over there. But
it's the type of thing I think would be interesting in the other universe, just because the other universe version of me just wants to see what the they would do.
yeah.
But like, yeah, hopefully this can give you an idea of the glory of seeing the Minecraft movie and what it was like.
There we have it. 3 episodes into Delayed Replay Season 3, and we finally talk about a movie that came out this year in our universe. So thanks for joining me on this episode, Callum. Where can people find your stuff?
My personal Twitter is at CallumH2000. I also do a podcast with a couple of folks from across the pond like me about professional wrestling. We also review professional wrestling movies, mostly the bad ones because that's what we have fun doing. But you could check that out over at the UW podcast. And next week we have a review coming of a really bad film called The Chaperone, which I'm got to watch soon, and it's terrible.
Wow, how many wrestling movies are there? Because the only one that comes to mind for me is Nacho Libre.
Oh, it's not. See, most of the time it's not movies about wrestling. It's movies with wrestlers in it. Like,
okay.
yeah, like we reviewed RoboCop, for example. Well, RoboCop doesn't have wrestler in it, but we reviewed RoboCop because that's got a tie-in to wrestling. We've reviewed The Running Man by Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is a terrible movie, by the way. I do not like it. But yeah, we reviewed different films like that. I have to recommend though, if you ever want a bad horror movie, Santa's Sleigh from 2005.
Oh, that
where
one is fun.
that's genuinely, I really enjoy it. It's so fun and it's so stupid. Like, just in case your listeners don't know, I'll hit you with the synopsis real quick. Santa lost a game of curling 10,000 years ago, which forced him to be nice for 10,000 years. But now the bet is over, so he's coming for revenge. Like, the fact it's
Yeah.
based on curling just kills me. But yeah, that's my stuff, and yeah, this was real fun. I really enjoyed reviewing this film. It was a bit weird going to watch it at 9 a.m. to like get the first screening to get ready for this, but it was a fun watch, I guess.
Yeah, Santa's Sleigh, Sci-Fi and Horror Sock watched it, and so I watched it, and it really hits the ground running. It's just so fun to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, I ironically think it's one of those films like this which is so stupid it's kind of good. But yeah,
Right. All right. Yeah. So people can go check out all of that. And as for my plugs, people can follow me at Steven Shinder on Instagram and Twitter, Steven Shinder Storytelling on Facebook. You can find my fantasy horror comedy novel, Lemons Will Like Rain. It's on Amazon. More info at stevenshinder.com, and more news to come on the next book, Trespassing Through the Visages, which I'm aiming to put out in the summer, hopefully, but we'll see. If you want to email this podcast, you can email delayedreplaypodcast@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts on, I don't know, blocks, like the general shape, just in general.
the cube is a pretty good shape. I would put the cube in A tier. It's a solid A tier shape, the cube.
Yeah, yeah.
Also a great game show over here in the UK. I don't know if you have it over in the US, but the cube's also a great game show.
No, I've only seen the horror movies Cube. The first one is great. The other ones are shit. Listeners can also find me on the podcast Yes Shift, which I do with my dad. We talk about the progressive rock band Yes and people associated with it. We're gonna have Oliver Wakeman, one of their former keyboardists, on the show on March 26th. So we'll be interviewing him on Facebook Live and then putting it out in the feeds. So that'll be fun. And you can also hear me on a recent episode of my friend Dylan and Keon's podcast, Inevitable, a classic sci-fi podcast, where we talked about a UFO episode titled A Question of Priorities. So yeah, I guess that's all the plugs. So thanks again, and without further delay, have a good day.